Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Dan,
I'm Paul.
and today we are going to take some time to dive deeper into two of the optics in our LPVO MTS shootout. Um, we have a big one here that I know a lot of people
The big one.
the big one that a lot of people are interested in, the Schmidt & Bender PM2 short dot dual CC.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, I'm not done yet. 1:8 by 24. All right. The MSRP is actually unlisted, but we were able to find this on Euro Optic for $57.80.
That's $5,780.
Yes.
$780.
Not $57.80.
Not $57.80,
No.
right?
$5,780 for this Schmidt & Bender optic here. Yeah. So, all right. Really cool technology in the Schmidt & Bender, and there's a reason why it is at the price point that it's at. All right. The dot is on a second focal plane on its own, and then you transition to first focal plane for the reticle when you're beginning your magnification. There is actually two illumination settings, which Paul is going to talk about. This particular optic that we received has the MDR T6 reticle in it. It's a 30 millimeter tube. You're looking at a 3.54 inch eye relief as per Schmidt & Bender. Field of view 35.3 at 1x and then 4.9 at max magnification. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the tightest or the smallest FOV on the.
I believe so.
Out of the 14 optics.
Oh no, that's probably in meters. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That is.
We
that's
didn't do
that
the
is in
conversion.
meters.
Just specify it's in meters because.
So that's in meters. So that converts to roughly what times
I don't know,
3?
we have it written down here.
Yeah.
Look,
We're gonna get the numbers.
Sorry, we're
Apologize,
being
guys.
completely professional here.
115.
Yeah, 115 foot at 100 meters, which is 109 yards.
Roughly, yeah.
I didn't do the math on the 8x field of view.
But it should be give or take like 23, 24, somewhere
Something
in there.
like that, yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds right. So sorry, I should have done that, but
I'm
did
wrong.
not.
Probably. I don't. So I was good at math at one point in my life. All right. This comes in at 22.54 ounces, but Paul, when you were weighing these, you were a little concerned.
yeah.
about the
Well,
amount.
I think that weight is off the. That's the only one that I took the weight off the manufacturer's site.
Okay.
This one, I have a picture of all these on the scales, and I didn't want to take this one apart. It's KC mount and on a $5,700 scope, and the screws had been Loctited, so I sure as hell wasn't putting heat to it.
Yep.
And I sure as hell wasn't going to strip any of them out. So this one got weighed all put together like that. So,
Yeah, and they're all witness marked, so
Yeah.
they deserve to stay where they are.
Yeah. So is that everything for you?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
You get into get
Excuse
into
me.
it.
All right, so the illumination on this, if it's daylight bright or not, like Dan said, you have two settings. So what you have is you have the dot, and then you have a completely separate setting for a completely separate reticle.
Yep.
That you would use for your precise work or whatever. Now the dot is daylight bright. It's not quite nuclear bright, but it is very usable in all the conditions that we had up here. The reticle, not so much. It's daylight bright, but it gets washed pretty easy under real light conditions. That you'll see in the pictures that we have. There's a lot of stuff that gets lit up with this reticle, so that might be a function of that. The eye relief on this scope, what'd you say it was, like 3.5?
Yeah, so it comes in at 3.54 from Schmidt & Bender.
Okay, and a little note, I don't know if maybe they didn't get their conversion right or whatever, but shooting this scope, it felt like it was a lot closer to your face than the rest of these.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that number is actually probably a little less. To get a good picture, you're closer than the rest of them, and 3.5 is a pretty good average.
It's on the lower
of,
side.
Yeah, but it's. We've got some at 3, and we've got. Or no, not. I'm sorry, that's not at 3. But yeah, it is on the lower side, but it just feels tight. So what we did with these is I took and I measured how much that eye box is usable, or eye relief. I'm sorry. And I came up with just shy of an inch where you get a full picture back and forth with no scope shadow. And then just shy of 3 inches at 2.9. to where the extremes to where it's not usable anymore. That's pretty tight compared to the rest of them too.
Yeah.
And the rest of the eye box for your out of position shooting, kind of middle of the road on how it stacks up to the rest of them, but pretty tight, not miserable, but pretty tight. The glass in this thing, fantastic. Believe it or not, there is some fish bowling up close. You'll see that in one of the pictures. That really doesn't affect your downrange shooting, or even your up close shooting. Just real close, you'll see it in the images as illustrated. Nice and bright at night. The night pictures that we took have all been doctored to give you a realistic picture like what you'd see in real life behind a tube, because the camera, when you take the picture, makes it all really bright, and it's totally fake. So we wanted to relay the most realistic image that we could. So we actually took the picture and then set it up next to the scope and moved the exposure around to where we had what we thought was as close to real as we could get it. Via electronics and stuff like that. And I think that covers the $5,780 scope.
Yeah, I just want to make one note. We mentioned this when we were talking about the Callus. Whatever they are. Anyways, this particular optic, in order to change magnification, you need to go left, right? Yeah. So all the European, all the European-made optics are counterclockwise versus clockwise. Like the SIG that we're about to talk about. So do we have anything else for the Schmidt?
I don't believe so.
Cool. All right. So onto the SIG. This is the Tango 6T, 1:6 by 24. Comes in at $16.99. It is a first focal plane with the horseshoe dot. Okay. 30 millimeter tube. Eye relief is listed at 3.9 to 4.1 on this one. We got a 105.8 field of view at 1x.
And which is not great.
No, it's not. And then a 17.7 at max magnification, right? Weight here 22, little on the high end.
Yeah, it's
right?
chunky for a 6.
Yeah,
especially compared to a couple of other ones.
Yeah.
So the scope catches a lot of hate online. I don't think most of it is warranted. I'm not going to say much more about it. We'll get into the rest of that in our last video. But it's not bad. It's heavy. That's my gripe with it. This is mine, so I can gripe about it. The illumination, like a lot of these, it's daylight bright, but that's going to depend on your conditions. The natural light outside. You can always see that it's red, but it doesn't catch your eye quite like a red dot would, like some of the other scopes do. That said, it's not bad. It's just not nuclear bright. The eye relief you said was
it's listed at 3.9 to 4.1.
3.9 to 4.1. Yeah. So what we did here was I already talked about the process. So the usable eye box on this one is just shy of an inch at 0.98.
Yep.
That's a good clean image with no scope shadow back and forth. And then the actual until the image is so bad you can't really use the scope, you got about 3.7 inches to where the scope shadow just completely takes over. The eye box on this is there again kind of reflective of that. It's not bad. On a 1 to 5 I have it rated as a 4. So you can kind of get out of position with this scope, and it's not going to be a deal breaker. You're still going to get a good picture unless you're really out of whack. And it's not hard to pick up. That's where the eye box really matters on these things is speed, right? When you come up or whatever. So I believe that covers the Tango 6. I forgot to mention on the SIG, it is the only other scope besides the ATACR that doesn't show any fish pulling up close.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think of all the 14 optics, these are the best two as far as their appearance goes.
Yeah, this thing's pretty.
It's got a real nice finish.
RL, I love that color.
It's a really cool color.
Right.
The ADM mount kind of matches something over here, I think.
We didn't talk about that gun. It's got trash tier receivers if you ask everybody. So,
sure, yeah. This is really close to Geisley DDC, right? So if you're color match free.
Well, it's a somewhat Geisley DDC.
if right, yeah,
Sorry,
depending
but-
on what month it's made.
Yeah.
But if you're a color match guy like some people around here, it might pique your interest. So we'll talk a little bit more about our final impressions and
2 more things on this. No
Yeah.
throw lever,
yep,
night vision compatible.
yes,
And I think that does it.
made in
Right?
Germany.
Made in somewhere. Actually, I think this is. I mean, it's not American glass, but I think they build these here.
American made. What type of glass? Japanese.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I believe it is. I think that
Does
I
it
recall
say
that from our last
designed
discussion.
by Sig Sauer in Oregon. So I guess it's not assembled here. I'm a liar.
We
But
don't
anyway,
know,
right?
But we'll find out. If you know where this is made, drop in the comments.
Yeah, there you go.
If not, we'll try to.
I'll research it.
Yeah,
It's got to be out
put the
there
correct
somewhere.
info in there.
You know.
One nice feature, the fiber optic here on the side. You can see where your magnification is set. Other than that, nothing else to cover.
No, I don't think so. Not
All right.
used to. All right.
Cool. Thanks guys.